This is SlimezFarmer from KingdomCraft again. Check out our server and Discord if you want to play on our server. It's just KingdomCraft and Discord. So look us up. You can't join the server until you've been whitelisted, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, anyway, so this is just a continuation. So this one we're just going to look at observers. So I think last time I said that observers could be used, so comparators could be used for sheep farms and things like that, but I got the block wrong. So basically what we're after this time is the observer. So the observer pretty much detects any changes in blocks. So like I said last time, if you were to have an observer on a grass block, and there was a change in that grass block, it would send out a redstone signal. So it's the same if you break a block behind an observer or whatever, it does the same thing. So if you put a light there, you break that block, change that block, it'll activate the whatever's on the other side. So if you put a block there, it does the same thing. Yeah, so it just puts out a one tick pulse. So the other thing they can be used for, which is quite handy, if you put them back to back, they create a kind of clock. It's too fast for this to actually see. So what you do is to use that, you would put that in, put it on 2 ticks, or actually more. Yeah, so you can see they're quite handy for certain things. It's ticking so fast that you can actually can't really even see it going. So that's one method, and to use that you would do something like get a piston lever and pull that one whichever way, doesn't matter if it goes sideways or whatever, you do something like that. Maybe get a lever or a redstone torch, redstone signal, something like that, into the side, turn it off, you do that, turn it on, you put it the other way. Now it's probably too fast for a piston, so it's activating once every couple of ticks, but it is going a lot faster than that. If we were to put that on, that's better. I don't know why I didn't do that last time. Yeah, so that's working a bit better this time than what it was last time. So that's one method of making sort of like a clock system. Yeah, so a pulse system. So basically that's a couple of things it can be used for. What else? So basically this will power whatever redstone device you've got at the other side of it. I'll put that at the wrong side. So if you put that there, you might have something that you want to power on the other side of that. Put a piston there, for example. Detects a change in block. I mean, that could be a redstone signal. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, it's pretty much detects any signal. It just carries that on. Gives it one pulse. So it doesn't matter if that redstone signal stays there or not. That will just give one pulse. So that's one pulse with every change. So if that's just got to keep that in mind if you're building a redstone circuit and wondering why you're getting double pulses. It detects any change. So when that's on, it's one pulse, and when it goes off, it pulses it again. So that's the only thing. So what you could do with that, maybe you put that like that. Just get some blocks. It's just messing around, but it's putting a few techniques in that I explained it in the last videos. So basically, if you remember, redstone blocks only power beside each other. So if I was to do that, that would just continue doing that forever. So what it's doing is nothing constructive, but it just gives you an idea of how the blocks work. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily need to have that there either. I mean, I could just do that. Wasn't a very good example of a good use of them, but I could just do that as well. Yeah. Actually, you'd need to put a repeater on to keep the signal up to make that work properly, because otherwise the signal just drops away. That one powers that one, which powers that one, and so on around the circle. So if I was to do something like that, actually no, it's no. Take that all back. The reason that works is because the observer is actually picking up that signal and just passing on a pulse. Without that pulse, those there would just turn on and it would create a loop. Yeah, so if you put that on there to extend the signal, like I said, this is all on the fly, so I'm only thinking about this as I go. So if you were to do this, extends the signal out to 4 pulses, 4 ticks I should say. You do that, that's still going to work. It'll have a delay, so whatever this change delay is what the delay will be on the system. But if you took that out and ran that redstone line in, you'll eventually just create a complete redstone circuit which will never turn off. Yeah, because you power that up, powers this piston, which powers that piston, that powers that goes into this here goes on, holds the signal long enough for it to get all the way around again and power that piston back on, and then yeah, that's it. Then once that's done, then it's just a continuous loop. So loops are quite easy to get yourself into. It's quite good that I did this because it's very easy to create like a redstone loop in a lot of projects, and it can be quite hard sometimes to figure out what's gone wrong. It doesn't necessarily have to be holding a piston. It could be just the fact that you've forgotten to put a repeater somewhere to stop the signal getting through. So you might have a circuit where there might be a redstone going off in several directions. Just a rough example, and they're all powering different parts of a circuit, and somewhere along the line it's getting back. So the way to get around it is, if that redstone doesn't need to go back the other way, we just put a repeater the opposite way, and that stops the circuit from doing a loop. But another way is observers. They're also quite good. The only thing you got to watch is they do double pulse. If you're turning a redstone circuit on, you'll get a pulse when that turns on, you get a pulse when that turns off. So double pulses a circuit, which in some instances can be quite bad. For this example, it doesn't really matter, it's just a little test, but the way you kick that off, maybe you want that to continuously go for a certain period of time. You'd put a redstone signal might come in, it pulses that, and it just keeps that going. But the problem being is that because that's all linked into the same circuit, maybe there's something down here you don't want being powered up. So there might be something like that, but you want this to be a control side, so you'd have that the opposite way, and that way that signal can't get back down to whatever's over here as well. So that's where repeaters come in handy to stop signal from going back up the line. I have no idea what this would be used for, but if you had something automated that was feeding something, or that would be a good little timer. You could run quite a few things off that if you wanted to, but you could do something like that, and even have another one over there. So, and here. So, it actually gives you quite a few options for running devices. Just pulse. So, yeah, it's just. I'll just put some lamps on there so you can see what I'm doing. And then you've got this other one, which is, I can't put that there, it would have to go somewhere like that. Yeah, so that's just a big redstone mess basically, but you get the idea. With these come in handy for just doing a single pulse to a device and not letting that redstone signal get tied up in a loop, because it's only pulsing the device quickly. Another example, you would use those. Another good one actually, if you've got, no, we haven't gone over these yet, and I'll be covering them in probably some of the next videos. I've just got to find out where I've put them. I think they're in this barrel actually. Right, so dispensers and droppers is another method we use. You could use observers. So basically, dispensers and droppers just put items out. I'll just go real quickly because I'll be covering these in more depth in another video. So the basics are, as if you had one of them facing each one of these, and you had a system to detect. I'll do this properly. I'll show you a real quick circuit, which is quite a fast way to get items out of a drum, for example. So I might have 64 items in that one, 64 items in that one. Difference between, it's a dropper. So I've just done two droppers. I was meant to do a dropper and a dispenser. Dispensers are slightly different. Droppers push items out. Dispensers, if it's a projectile item, dispenser will actually shoot an item out. But like I said, I'll go into that later. So if we put 64 items on each one of these, and then we have that facing each other like so, then you put like a sticky piston behind these. You could have what's the easiest way to do this? You'd probably put maybe that there. In fact, I'll do two of those. No, I won't. I'll do it like that. There's actually a better way to do this. I won't worry at this stage. So the basics are to observe something, use a comparator to check to see if there's something inside this, like we explained, anything that can hold an item. Comparators can pick that up. You then send the signal down to the piston. So to do that, you do that on a bit of a delay, so that it gives the piston time to maybe put that one on a 4-tick delay or something. So you basically just send that signal in, and it just spits out all the items until it's empty. Real quick way to make a rubbish bin system in your pace or whatever. There's lots of different ways to do this, but this is a quick and easy method to do it. So same thing, doesn't matter, you could put one repeater down there if you wanted to, and a redstone line. You just got to make sure that's close enough to the comparator, because what happens is this signal drops, it'll leave items inside here. So that one is okay because I've only got one redstone. This here isn't, because I've got two. So you really need to be like that at the least. Maybe something like that works fine, and that will empty that completely because it's full redstone signal basically. It's picking up, and it turns it off once it's finished, so it no longer pulses the items. So that's one method. Again, you could do the same thing. You could have a chest up there and just make that a rubbish bin. So if you had a whole bunch of blocks you didn't want to keep, you just throw them in to the chest and it spits them all out to lava or whatever. What's another method? What's another thing we can use these for? I'll stop that because there's no point. It's probably more or less it. There's not really much else I can think of. You get the general gist. They basically sense any change in any device, any redstone device or block, or they also detect air, so you can make things like flying machines and things with them, because they sense the change in the air block. It doesn't really matter what the block is. If it changes, then these pick it up basically. So yeah, even string, like if I was to put, because string is actually used in redstone as well. I've got too many things in my inventory still. So basically, if I was to put string there and a redstone lamp, if I walk into that string, that observer picks that up as well. So quite handy. You could have a, not sure, never tried this. So if you do a string line that way, does it still work? No, it's got to be the block right in front. So if you want it to detect a person or a boat or whatever, then you need a string line in front, because it doesn't detect me if I walk in front. But if you put a string line there, it does. So a piece of string in front of that. So yeah, that's how you get it to detect mobs and players and whatever. Quite often players won't even see that string line, they'll just walk into it. They'll see the observer. I'm not sure if an observer will work under a block for that. Probably not. I just gotta build this now that I've said that. So if I was to do that, no, so it'll detect on top of that block, but I don't know if it'll, I've never tried this, no. So it's got to be the block basically above it. Can't detect string. Even with an air gap there, it doesn't detect it, so it's got to be right on it. Yeah. Now in Java, I think you can use target blocks. Just gotta find a target block. I don't think this works in Bedrock Edition. So if you have a target block on an observer in Bedrock, in Java Edition, I think, I could be wrong, I mean you could correct me in the comments if you want to, but pretty sure if you shoot a target block in Java Edition and it's on an observer, it'll actually pick that up and activate it, but in Bedrock it doesn't. So I don't know why it wouldn't. I mean, it would make sense if it did, because it is a change in state essentially. It's putting out a redstone signal, so I'm not sure why that wouldn't do that. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of other things that you would use that for, but yeah, I think that's probably about it for now. Yeah, I mean, I suppose sheep farms and stuff, there's plenty of videos online about them, but I can go through one of them later. Once I get to a bit more sophisticated stuff, I can show you how all that gets made and works. Alright, nice. Well, I'll leave it there for now, and yeah, come and check out our server if you get a chance, and leave it to it. Cheers. Bye.